in Indianapolis. The Colts are also 0-2. One of the teams that had hoped to contend in the AFC, definitely in the AFC South. Tough 5-game stretch to start the season. Now 0-2, and to make matters worse, Carson Wentz exited with what we knew as of last night was one sprained ankle. Turns out it's 2 sprained ankles. Status for Week 3 is unclear, and it looked painful when it happened. He got caught up with Aaron Donald, got rolled up. It's amazing that doesn't happen more often. With all the bodies out there that are moving around on a football field, it's stunning that we don't have sprained ankles on every single play. But Carson Wentz, and there it is. Down he goes. There's the right ankle that clearly gets twisted up. You don't see the left ankle get caught up. Maybe he had injured it earlier. Maybe he was operating on adrenaline. Maybe he didn't realize until he woke up today that the other ankle was injured. But clearly the right ankle is a problem, Charean. And without him, they have a real challenge because Jacob Eason, who took over as the starter when Wentz had foot surgery back in August, he quickly lost ground to rookie Sam Ehlinger. We saw why yesterday when Eason promptly threw an interception. Ellinger's on IR. Brett Hundley's the only other option. If he's going to be out for a while, the Colts could keep losing game after game after game in his absence.
Yeah, and it doesn't sound good, Mike, and you're right. The left ankle was early in the game, and he was able to play through that one, Reich said, but then obviously that right ankle late, he just couldn't play through that. So it sounds like the right ankle was worse than the left ankle, but they both are sprained, which sounds like to me he's not going to get a chance to play this week if you have 2 sprained ankles. That's just tough to overcome, I would think. Maybe you can overcome 1 if it's not a high ankle sprain, but 2 just for a quarterback sounds difficult. But it almost seems like, Mike, that Carson Wentz is just jinxed. I mean, he can't get over this injury bug, and it just happens again and again and again. Of course, had the foot surgery in the training camp, and it's just been one thing after another with this guy since that ACL injury when he played so well, was in the MVP conversation way back when, and he just hasn't been able to stay healthy since then. But yes, I think the Colts are they're in trouble anyway. They can't even protect Carson Wentz. I don't know what they're going to do when Jacob Eason gets in there, who obviously is a backup for a reason. This team's in deep, deep trouble at 0-2.
And they have the Titans up next, trip to Tennessee to take on the Titans, who are now 1-1 after the overtime win yesterday against the Seahawks. And whenever a guy is injured repeatedly, I can't figure out, and I don't think we ever really know the answer. Is he just unlucky? Is there something in the composition of his body that makes him susceptible to getting injured? Or are there issues with the training, the flexibility, the nutrition, the pliability, a word we became introduced to several years ago thanks to Tom Brady? Is there something going on there, something external that is or isn't making him susceptible to being injured? But the bottom line is this constantly is an issue for him. It's one after another, and at some point it just becomes the reality of who the guy is. He's always played with kind of a reckless mobile style, and when you do that, when you get yourself twisted up like that, I mean, hey, here's the bottom line. Tom Brady would get rid of the ball before he's dragged down by Aaron Donald. That's the difference. That's part of what this is. So the fourth factor is having a level of awareness on the field when it comes to avoiding contact or taking contact in a smart way. You know, Charean, Russell Wilson does not avoid contact. He's always reminded me of Barry Sanders in that he moves just right to never take a direct, solid, awkward hit that could get him injured. And it's something that's innate in the way that player's body moves in relation to others. But some guys have it, some guys don't. And for Wentz, he's too fearless for his own good because he ends up in these spots where anybody, perhaps, no matter how flexible or pliable they are going to get injured because they're getting dragged down to the ground by Aaron Donald. Just avoid getting dragged down to the ground by Aaron Donald, you avoid getting a sprained ankle.
Yeah, Kyler Murray's another one, Mike, that you think of that just never takes that solid hit. He took the one last year and had the shoulder injury, but he just never takes those hits. And you just can't take those hits. And the thing about this is, Mike, when he left Philadelphia, one of the problems was the offensive line. They didn't give him enough protection. So he goes to Indy, and everybody goes, well, he finally has an offensive line that's going to give him protection. And Anthony Costanzo retires, and then you have Quentin Nelson needing foot surgery. And now all of a sudden, this offensive line is a shell of itself, which is part of the problem. So he's taken 21 hits in 2 games, 6 sacks. Part of that is on him, just like it was in Philadelphia. But you're right. You've got to get rid of that ball. And if the offensive line's not going to protect you, you've just got to throw it away and start over and go on to the next play.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.